Here's the brutal truth. Nebraska's entire season might hinge on what happens this Saturday against Maryland, and most fans have no idea just how precarious their position really is. Back in August, we identified a make-or-break stretch that could define the Cornhuskers' entire campaign. 4 crucial matchups against teams beginning with M: Michigan, Michigan State, Maryland, and Minnesota. Our prediction? If Nebraska could manage a solid 3-1 record through this gauntlet, they'd be looking at their strongest season in over a decade. That assessment hasn't changed one bit. Currently sitting at 1-1 through the first 2 M encounters, the Huskers now face their most pivotal test yet, a Saturday afternoon showdown in College Park against Maryland. This marks Nebraska's inaugural true road challenge of the season, which should concern every Husker faithful. Why? Because head coach Matt Rule's track record in Big Ten away games is downright alarming, a dismal 2-8 record that speaks volumes about the uphill battle ahead. But here's where it gets controversial. This Saturday's 2:30 CT kickoff presents a fascinating clash of contrasts that could reshape how we view both programs. On one side, you have Nebraska, a storied powerhouse with 5 national championships and decades of tradition. On the other, Maryland represents the new guard, a program that's finally tasting relevance on the national stage after years of mediocrity. Both squads enter with identical 4-1 records, yet sportsbooks favor the visiting Huskers by 6.5 points. The question is, are those odds reflecting reality, or are they simply banking on Nebraska's name recognition? Unlike previous seasons when opponents might have been intimidated by the Cornhuskers' reputation, don't expect Maryland to roll over and play dead. Let's break down why this game could go either way, starting with 3 compelling reasons Nebraska should emerge victorious. Why the Huskers will dominate. Offensive firepower that can't be ignored. Nebraska's scoring machine ranks 11th nationally, putting up an impressive 42.4 points per contest. Now, skeptics might point out that removing cupcake opponents Akron and Houston Christian drops that average to 28.3 points against legitimate FBS competition. Good enough for just 70th nationally. But here's what those numbers don't tell you. When this offense clicks, it's virtually unstoppable. The Huskers have built their attack around the arm of Dylan Raiola and a passing game that ranks 8th nationally with 320.2 yards per game. While their ground game struggles at 101st nationally, 121st yards per game, their aerial assault more than compensates. Maryland's defense, ranked 41st overall while allowing 318.4 yards per game, simply doesn't have the firepower to match Nebraska's offensive capabilities. When you can consistently move the ball through the air like Nebraska does, you control the tempo and dictate terms to your opponent. A defense that's rewriting the record books. Here's a stat that should terrify Maryland's offensive coordinator. Nebraska boasts the nation's top-ranked pass defense and sits comfortably at 11th overall defensively. Meanwhile, the Terrapins' offense limps in at 97th nationally, a mismatch that screams blowout potential. The real concern for Maryland should be how their true freshman quarterback, Malik Washington, handles the pressure cooker that defensive coordinator John Butler is sure to create. Butler has earned a reputation for crafting game plans that exploit young quarterbacks' inexperience, and Washington, despite his talent, remains green at this level. Expect Butler to dial up pressure packages designed to rattle the freshman, while simultaneously containing his mobility. When you combine Nebraska's pass rush with their lockdown secondary, Washington could be in for a very long afternoon. The weight of tradition and championship DNA. And this is the part most people miss. Maryland has managed just 3 winning seasons over the past decade. The Terrapins haven't reached 9 victories since 2010. a drought that speaks to a program still learning how to win consistently at the highest level. Tradition isn't something you can manufacture overnight, or even over a couple of seasons. When Nebraska players step onto the field, they carry the weight and expectation of 5 national championships and decades of excellence. That psychological edge becomes particularly pronounced in tight games, when experience and mental toughness separate winners from pretenders. Current Huskers frequently speak about honoring the legacy of their uniform and restoring the program to elite status. That kind of motivation can be the difference maker when games hang in the balance. Why Maryland could shock the college football world. Malik Washington, the X factor nobody's talking about. But here's where it gets controversial. Washington represents the most dangerous drop-back passer Nebraska has encountered all season. Yes, he's young and relatively inexperienced, but he possesses something that can't be taught. Fearlessness in the pocket, and the arm strength to make every throw on the field. His statistical profile is genuinely impressive, completing 110 of 183 attempts, 60.1%, for 1,257 yards, 9 touchdowns, and only 2 interceptions. Those 183 pass attempts lead the entire Big Ten, indicating Maryland's willingness to put the ball in his hands repeatedly. When Washington finds his rhythm, particularly his connection with talented tight end Dorian Fleming, 21 catches, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Terrapins' offense transforms into a legitimate threat. Add in several productive wide receivers, and you have the makings of an offensive unit that could exploit any defensive lapses. The dangerous motivation of a bounce-back performance. Maryland entered last Saturday's clash with Washington, riding high at 4-0, holding commanding leads of 20-0 and 20-3 entering the fourth quarter. Then they watched it all slip away in a devastating 24-20 defeat that exposed their inexperience in crucial moments. Was that collapse simply a case of an established program, Washington, overwhelming a team still learning how to close out big games? Quite possibly. But here's the thing about young, talented teams. They either crumble under the weight of disappointment or use it as fuel for an explosive response. Saturday's matchup against Nebraska represents Maryland's defining moment. Beat the Huskers, and the magic continues with momentum building towards something special. Lose, and the season could spiral into the kind of mediocrity that has plagued this program for years. That desperation can be incredibly dangerous for an opponent, especially one dealing with their own road game struggles. Exploiting Nebraska's Achilles heel, run defense vulnerability. While everyone focuses on Nebraska's elite pass defense, they're overlooking a glaring weakness that Maryland could exploit. The Huskers rank a mediocre 88th nationally against the run, surrendering 115.6 yards per game. Admittedly, Maryland's rushing attack averages just 93.2 yards per contest, 128th nationally. But Coach Michael Locksley has already identified the ground game as their best strategic option, given Nebraska's pass defense dominance. Sometimes the most effective game plans aren't about playing to your strengths. They're about attacking your opponent's weaknesses. If Maryland can establish even a modest running game, it opens up play-action opportunities that could catch Nebraska's aggressive defense off guard. The beauty of this approach lies in its simplicity. Force Nebraska to respect the run, then hit them with carefully timed passes when they least expect it. It's a strategy that has worked against better defenses than Nebraska's, and it could be the blueprint for a Maryland upset. The bottom line, a season-defining crossroads. This game represents far more than just another conference matchup. It's a litmus test for both programs' championship aspirations. For Nebraska, it's about proving they can win the road games that have historically derailed their seasons under Matt Rule. For Maryland, it's about demonstrating they belong among the Big Ten's elite, rather than remaining a feel-good story that fades when the lights get brightest. The most intriguing aspect? Both teams have legitimate paths to victory, making this one of the most unpredictable games on Saturday's slate. So here's my question for you. Are we witnessing the emergence of Maryland as a legitimate Big Ten contender? Or will Nebraska's tradition and talent prove too much for the upstart Terrapins? And more controversially, is Matt Rule's road game record a legitimate concern, or just an unfortunate statistical anomaly that doesn't reflect his true coaching ability? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Are you buying into the Maryland hype? Or do you think the Huskers' experience and defensive prowess will carry the day? This is exactly the kind of game that sparks heated debates among college football fans. And I have a feeling Saturday's result will only add fuel to the fire.